Hey guys, Ollie from Local Knowledge here. Today I want to talk to you about one of the most common questions that we see on our forums and also in the comments here when we do these videos. Time and time again, we get guys asking us what line weight to use in what situation and how do you make those connections. So I kind of wanted to go over today, what we use, whether we're after calico bass or, trying to catch a big bluefin or a swordfish here in California. I like to do things a little different. I use a very short top shot. So for me, the braid and a short fluorocarbon leader work great in just about every situation I'm gonna fish in. I've always fished Seaguar Fluoro Premier since forever. Since I first started fishing this back, 2005 or something. Premier was my favorite. It's a great line. It's very strong. It's very good with tying knots. Just recently, Seaguar has come out with Gold Label. Gold Label is a little bit thinner and gives you a more stealthy presentation, and you're not giving up anything in strength, and I haven't noticed any different in knot strength. So primarily now in the lighter stuff, I'm fishing Gold Label. I really like it. Now Seaguar's got a whole range of other leaders that suit different budgets, different types of fishing. For me, this is what really works. I'm mostly a conventional guy, but go on their website, check out the difference between the different kinds of lines, and there might be something that you like better. Starting at the bottom here, 15 pound. I don't use a ton of this because I'm primarily an offshore guy, but if I'm fishing calicos, if I'm goofing around in the bay with the wife and the dog, any light tackle fishing, I'm gonna fish 15 pound test, and I'll usually connect this to a smaller reel that probably has 50 pound braid on it. 20 pound test is not far behind, a lot of inshore use. The old rule of thumb with fluorocarbon was always go up one line size compared to what you're used to. So if you would normally fish 25 pound with bait, you might fish 30 with fluoro. I don't think that holds true anymore. This fluoro has gotten so good, it's so strong. I'm always trying to cheat it down a little bit, especially in picky bites. In a bait fishing situation, I'm usually gonna use, with a smaller sardine and 15 or 20 pound test, I'm gonna use like a 2.0 Mustad Demon Circle. I love the Demon Circles, even for the inshore fishing, really a solid connection for these two. The other time in which I will use 20 pound test and sometimes even 15 is when those yellowfin or the bluefin get super picky. And now we've seen a lot of that over the last couple of years. When that's happening, I'm gonna scale down from my 25 size reels, like say a Penn Fathom 25, I'm gonna go down to a 15, which is a smaller spool, a little bit easier to cast. I'm gonna get my braid down to 50 pound so that I can have a lot of line capacity on that smaller reel. And then I'm gonna start fishing in those pick bites. I'm gonna start with 25 if I know they're gonna be picky, and then I'm just gonna work down from there. I always wanna fish the heaviest leader and the biggest hook I can. You might not get quite as many bites, but you're not gonna lose that fish. A lot of times when they get picky, we're scaling down to a size 1 hook or a size 2. It'll get you bites, but it's also gonna end up with a lot of lost fish and a lot of pulled hooks. When guys are fishing hooks that small on this light leader, I am always gonna start out with a 2.0 Mustad. Now hook sizes will vary from brand to brand. Mustad is probably on the smaller side of things, but they also make these demons in different wire weights. Now that makes a big difference. When they're picky, they're looking for anything out of the regular. Now I would say that probably the number 2 most used leader for us is the 40 pound. We use 40 pound a lot on our jig rods. If we're throwing surface iron, if we're throwing nomads, on our spin gear as well. The reason I like the 40 pound, again, more abrasion resistance, and if I'm throwing a lure, I can get by with heavier leader. And then hook size, when I start fishing 40, now I can talk about fishing like a 4.0 size, a 4.0 Demon Circle with a bigger sardine, smaller mackerel. From there, even still on 40 pound, if I've got to tie a dropper loop, and I'm gonna be fishing yellowtail in Mexico or even at the Coronados close to the bottom, again, I can gear up and I'm gonna fish 40 or 60 pound with a 6.0 hook, and this is perfect for a mackerel. From there, these are kind of your, small game leaders, smaller line, easier to work with. Now you're stepping up into the bigger stuff, right? And this bigger stuff, like I said, we didn't do a ton of it here in California. This was always sort of reserved for Mexico. But we've been blessed with these big bluefin over the last 5 seasons. They're back again this year. And this stuff, man, once the big bluefin are here and biting, this I'm relying on heavily. Almost every trip, we're going out targeting big fish, and we're typically not messing with the smaller fish. Once you go over 200, you're gonna be into the Blue Label. Great line. They each have their own unique properties. You know, go to Seaguar.com, read up and figure out what suits your style of fishing. Obviously, once we get into 200, 300, 400, this is not a finesse game in any way or shape. The 300, if I'm making a wind on that I know is gonna be used specifically on the kite, all of my line is suspended by the kite. Not a bit of it is in the water. It's pretty much out of view for the fish. 300. And when I hook a fish on 300, I just have the ultimate confidence that I can put as much heat as my gear will produce, and my line is not gonna fail. And now usually at the end of this 300-pound rig, I'm gonna have this mean, nasty looking rig here. It depends on the size of the dead flying fish that I'm using, but a 9.0 is a nice spot right in the middle. I'll typically rig some up with some 10.0s and also even 11.0s if I've got some jumbo flyers. Again, the biggest hook I can possibly get. And then behind that, I've got my treble hook. And lately we've been fishing the Mustad Kaijus. It's a bitchin' hook. This is gonna go behind the shoulder of the bait. This is gonna go in the tail. And this setup has produced for us time and time again. I'm not a huge fan of treble hooks for big game fishing, but in this case, man, it just gets the job done. A lot of times with a bigger fish, they'll suck them both down, which will sometimes jam their jaw shut, which means they can't get air, which means you catch them faster. This is just a nasty, get it done rig, and it certainly works. And we'll be fishing this again this year as soon as the big boys show up. But this is what works for us. I hope it points you in the right direction. If you like our videos, please give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and please take the time and leave us a comment. If we left anything out, let us know about it. If there's other stuff you want to know about, just ask. We really do read the comments. We want your feedback, and we want to keep delivering great content. Thanks so much for watching.